This is Mario once again with MI Microflight, and this is an old machine that I had. It's one of two machines that I bought when the Fabricator Mini IIs came out. I got a couple of these machines just to get my feet wet, so to speak, into 3D printing, and I did quite a bunch of little parts using this machine the very first year that I got, and then I went to bigger machines because of my business with the products that I make. I needed, bigger beds or printing tables or printing surfaces, and so I switched over to the larger machines. But I kept these two for someday doing some upgrades. One of the upgrades that I wanted to do is what you see here. It's an open frame. I cut the corners here of this machine, and I open it up so that I can access with much ease the bed, so I can adjust the leveling of the bed. The bed also, well, I'll hold off on that. And so this is one of the machines that I kept. The other one is in pieces here that I've been fooling around with and trying to do another little machine of my own design, but I'll talk about that in some other video. Getting back to this machine, there's a couple things that I've done. Mainly the head, I took it completely apart and I redesigned the inside of where the heat break is at, where it meets the hot end, or in other words the nozzle. That bone tube is fed all the way to the hot end, and what I did is I machined the heat break, which is a stainless steel part. I machined that all the way through with a 4mm bit. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do that because the width of the heat break at the threading end is very small to begin with. It's very small outside diameter, but I was able to do it, and I think I made it even thinner. These parts are printing beautiful, so that I can run the bowling tube all the way through it, and so that it would make contact with the hot end. It's very similar to some of the early print heads that they were done for the Creality Ender 3, I believe, or Creality CR10. The only way I could improve upon this design here and keep the same components, I didn't want to go to another head and have to design a holder for it, so I decided to just keep the same components. They work fine. As you can see, it's printing very nicely. I'm printing this at 30 millimeters per second with an infill of 150 millimeter per second. I believe that's how I set in Cura, and it's running just fine. It is a little bit noisy because of these, it's all metallic components here, but it's doing quite well. This corner right here was not required, and I don't know why they didn't design the machine to begin with like this, just an open C shape, so that people could access easier, the table. But it's a very easy mod. You just cut the corners here and it'll open up. It's a whole new. It just opens up a lot more room for to see the machine, what it's doing, and to access the table. The print surface gave out on my original one. I don't know what exact material that is, but it looked like, to me, it looked like fiberglass that was sanded on one side, because when I peeled that off, the other side looked like fiberglass sheets that I have in very thin thicknesses. But one side, the side that needs to grab onto the parts, I think they sanded that. They finally fine sanded the surface, and that's why it's able to grab onto the parts. And so basically, that's what I'm using here. I used to CNC machine a lot of fiberglass pieces for the micro heli hobby industry, beginning with my own design micro helicopters that I came out back in early 2000. And then when the market hit big, with all these helicopters, similar size helicopters that were coming out from all over the world, I decided to take my original parts and revamp them as upgrades, and so I sold a lot of those parts. And so CNC machining was a good portion of my work that I did with a lot of those products. And this one of the reasons I bought this machine is that I wanted to switch over to 3D printed parts. With 3D printed parts, there are some pros and cons, with 3D printed parts versus CNC machine fiberglass parts. And so, I had to weigh those pros and cons. But for the most part, these 3D printed parts, if you do them in the right material, depending on the application, they're a lot better because you get color, not only the aesthetics, but also you can do some very nice geometries, with the parts. And so it lends themselves, as far as 3D printing, to a little more flexibility, with the part design, as opposed to just having a flat plate, to hold pieces together. So that was one of the reasons I bought these little machines. But they weren't totally there to the level that many of these similar sized machines are, to this day and age. We're talking October, close to November, October 30th, 2022. So anyway, this is all my machine is running. It's making some very nice parts. And I'm very happy that I kept these machines and decided to just cut the corners and open it up and do the mods that I talked about, the bed and the hot end, especially the hot end.